What's going on, Freight Skills? In this video, I got such a great response from my last video about finding shippers and customers that I wanted to go a little bit deeper into doing that because you guys seem to enjoy it. So in this video, we're gonna talk niching down. We're gonna talk all about niches, why I think niches are BS, and why a lot of brokers are thinking about niches the complete wrong way. So before we get into it, as always, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss my next shippers video. All of this stuff is very valuable information and you're not going to want to miss what I have coming down the line. So now let's get right into niching down. Most business owners, most brokerage coaches, most everyone tells you that the riches are in niches. Sorry, I don't say niche. I don't like that word. It's a stupid word to me. I say niche. A lot of people will say you have to niche down, right? The riches are in niches. I don't necessarily always agree with that statement, especially when it comes to brokering. I feel that niching down in brokering is a way to trap yourself into a box, limit your opportunity, and keeps you playing small, to be honest. But there does have to be something said about moving too quickly, right? I don't agree with getting into things that you don't know how to do or you can't do safely. So there is some merit to the statement of niching down, but not a lot, right? It's not a good long-term plan is not niching down. You want to be good at a lot of things in the brokerage industry. So let's talk about why a lot of companies have niching down completely backwards. So when it comes to trucking, there are two ways that you can niche down. You can niche down by mode, meaning truckload, LTL, dry van, hazmat, or you can niche down by product, chemicals, pipe, steel, lumber, produce, whatever it is that you're moving. If you're gonna be the go-to guy or girl, you could say, I'm the go-to person for produce. I'm the go-to person for reefers. I'm the go-to person for dry vans. Or you could say, I'm the go-to person for product, right? I already said produce, but I'm the go-to person for lumber. But see, the problem there is that when you niche yourself down and you put yourself in this little product box and say, I'm only moving this product, I'm the expert at this product, your growth is only limited to the companies who sell that product or ship that product. And it's further limited by the companies that you can close selling that product, right? So maybe if there's 100 major distributors of steel pipes in the United States, and you can only call 30 of them, your max potential as a freight broker is 30 customers, and who knows how much freight that they're moving, right? That's what I want you to think about first. You do not want to niche yourself down on a product level. You want to niche yourself down on a mode level. And in this video, I'm going to share with you my favorite freight modes, the most profitable niches that you can get into as a broker that you're not targeting today. I guarantee you're not doing it. When we say niche down by mode, let's get right into what are the most profitable modes that you can do as a freight broker. And number one, not necessarily any order, all of these niches are good to go into and get involved with. Number one is going to be drayage. And the reason I say drayage is because every single day at the hundreds of ports in the USA, there are thousands and thousands of containers that are coming off of vessels from overseas. Each one of those containers represents an opportunity for you to make a little bit of profit moving them. I did a video on drayage. I'll link that up here. The drayage market extends to just about every single company that is moving freight, right? Every single company that brings in truckloads at some point has to bring in containers in order to move the truckloads inland, right? So drayage is a huge opportunity. It's very profitable by volume, right? Because when a company orders one container, it usually means that they're ordering multiple containers in a year. So by getting in with companies moving drayage, doing drayage moves, it's a very easy way to get yourself repeat business. We have a customer, for example, who is a big distributor of fencing. They order tons and tons of fencing. So every single month, we'll get 3 to 4 containers to move as a drayage move. And now, while the profit margin might not be huge, the volume that we get from those containers makes it worth it to manage the account. And since we know their work so well, what that translates to is us getting more truckloads for them to move, right? So one mode of transport graduates you into the other. If you're doing one thing for a customer, it's very easy for you to say, hey, I'm doing a great job with all this. Let me have a little bit more. Give me some exposure to your truckload freight. Give me some exposure to your LTL freight. Give me some exposure to your flatbed freight. I can do it all, right? But it takes getting into the door in order for you to get to that step, right? So the number one niche is going to be container drayage. The next niche, this is something a lot of brokers are a little bit hesitant to get involved in because they don't necessarily understand all the rules. And I completely get that, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't invest time understanding it. And that's going to be hazmat freight. Hazmat freight is a very niched market in itself, right? There's very limited amount of drivers compared to general freight, and it requires a little bit of expertise to understanding what goes into a hazmat move, right? Bill of ladings, for example. A hazmat bill of lading looks very different from a general cargo bill of lading, just in the product descriptions, right? There are different laws that you have to follow. But hazmat freight is very, very profitable for you as a broker because it's a lot harder for you to source those drivers. And the reason is because the cost of operating a carrier business, moving hazmat freight, is considerably more expensive than not moving hazmat, right? The licenses and the insurance and the endorsements that you need in order to move hazmat is very costly. Not every carrier can afford it or is willing to take that risk. So there's a lot smaller of a carrier pool. But this means opportunity for you, because if you can go out and find those carriers, connect them with your shippers, you stand to make a lot of money doing it. So hazmat freight is my number two niche that you should try to get involved in as a freight broker. And now the last niche is one of my favorites. It's very complex. It takes a little bit more experience to get into. It's very, very reliant on networking. It's a very private side of the industry, and that is going to be flatbed and overdimensional freight. Now, flatbed and overdimensional freight, that's when you see one of those big flatbeds on the road with a big giant load on it and it says wide load on it. Maybe you see some police cars driving in the side, but that's heavy haul, right? That's freight that goes on different kinds of flatbeds. And the reason that's so specialized is, again, the carrier pool is so much smaller than it is with any other freight mode. Flatbeds themselves are very, very expensive. If the freight is heavy, they require permits. They need route surveys, engineering, pole cars, escorts, police escorts, pilot cars. There's so much that goes into moving an overdimensional load. And if you can learn how to do that, if you could build up a network of both shippers who are moving the stuff and the vendors who can give you the service, you stand to make a lot of profit getting in the middle of that transaction. Because a lot of the shippers who are moving it need someone like you to represent them to these carriers, to understand the regulations, to help with the bookings, to help coordinate unloading, things like that. There's a lot of money to be made in the flatbed and heavy haul market. And what I'm going to do to make it even easier for you to find stuff in this market and just about every other market that I mentioned is I'm going to give you my free niche resource. This was very popular on my last video, so I'm going to put that right in the comments. If you haven't downloaded it already, it gives you a full list of all of my favorite niches by product rather than freight mode. So you could take this, everything that I just told you, drayage, hazmat, flatbed, and then you could take my niche list, and what you could do is you could go through that and identify which product is going to use which mode of transport. Right? It's an exercise that'll take you a little bit to get the hang of, but once you do, you'll see that you are really limiting yourself if you tie yourself down to just one niche of product. I highly recommend you don't do that. You want to be the expert at everything. And now before I sign off, I want to explain a little bit more, just from a personal point of view, on why it's so dangerous to put yourself into a box in the brokerage market. As a broker, we're offering a service. The service is not so different if you go to me versus if you go to your brokerage or another viewer's brokerage. We all provide the same service, but what differentiates you from the rest of the market is basically the amount of phone calls that you can take from your customers. Customers are looking for simplicity. As a broker, we are selling simplicity. We're trying to make their lives easier, and the best way to make somebody's life easier is to do as much as possible for that person or that entity. So we made the decision a long time ago at my brokerage that we are going to do everything. There's literally no shipment that you can call us that we cannot move. There's some that will be harder than others, but we will figure it out. We do not say no to our customers. Even if that means that we have to connect with other brokers in the industry to learn, if we have to take courses, if we have to pay consultants to help us figure out how to move something, we find a way to get it done. So you have to make that decision that even if you don't know how to do something, you have to know, or at least try to learn how to do it, right? That's just my personal view. A lot of brokers get into this trap where they're either afraid to diversify or they don't think that it'll be beneficial. They want to be known as the master because there's an old saying, right? The jack of all trades, master of none. But there's an end to that saying that nobody really talks about, that a jack of all trades is a master of none, but will always be better than a master of one. So I want you to take that with you, reflect on that a little bit, compare everything that I just told you to what you're doing in your brokerage right now, and see if there is room for you to expand and see how much you can actually add to your customers in terms of value and in turn grow your brokerage. So I hope this video helped. I hope that you take advantage of the free niche list that I put in my description. Just scroll right down. There's a link there. Just head over to that page, enter your email address, and I will personally send over your list. A lot of people email me after these videos and say, where do I find your list? It's right down there in the description. Just click that page, enter your address. I'll shoot it right over to your inbox. And if you don't get it right away, just check your spam folder. It should be right there. Now, once again, before you go, if you got any value at all from this video, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. You do not want to miss any more of the freight brokerage content that I have coming down the line. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Every single view that I get, every single person that I can help in the brokerage industry really means a lot to me. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comment section. And until the next video, I'll see you soon.